All right, we are still here right now in this independent sleeping section, and what we're going to do now is talk about sleep, the inside scoop. And I want to tell you about all the sleep training methods that exist, why I don't like them, what all the mainstream approaches are, and then we're going to get nitty-gritty into my method and why I like it so much and why it's going to work. Because now you've already talked about sleep dependencies and why it works. You've already talked about being in tune with yourself. So let's talk about the methods that are out there, and then we're going to run down and talk in depth about my method and what we're going to do and how we're going to apply it. So cry it out is the most widespread idea. Okay, now to most this means just putting your baby in his crib, in his bed, in a room by himself, and leaving him to scream himself to sleep. Okay, the goal here is that he eventually learns how to settle to sleep, because in theory there are no sleep dependencies, right? He's by himself when he falls asleep, by himself when he has those partial awakenings that we've learned about, and he's by himself again to transition back to sleep. So in theory, yes, it works, but many parents shudder at the idea of leaving their baby to cry. But if you've done it or you don't have a problem with it, that's fine. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong. I'm just giving you the technical rundown of ideas that exist today, and I really want to just talk you through everything so you can understand that there is a gentler approach that does exist, okay? Now, I will tell you, some children are fine with this method, okay, but some have a very drastically negative response. Some children might learn to sleep beautifully in 3 nights while crying alone in their room, but another might feel traumatized, might feel alone, fight sleep even more, never really learn how to sleep well. And that's why I'm not such a fan of this method, because there is no blanket statement that says all personalities, all ages will mold to this method, okay? So that's why I don't like cry it out. Let's talk about the complete opposite extreme. No cry methods, okay? The ones that claim that there's no crying involved at all. So what these kind of look like sometimes is night number 1, when you're getting rid of your baby's sleep dependency, you hold your baby till he is asleep completely, then place him down once he's in a deep sleep. Great. Night 2, you only hold him till he's drowsy and starting to fall asleep. Night 3, then you put him in his crib fully awake. Great. If this would continue, it would definitely help get rid of the sleep dependency. But what happens here is when you're doing these no cry methods, if baby cries, you pick him up and hold him again. So where does this get you? Nowhere, right? You're basically just giving into your baby every time that he cries, and you're not teaching him anywhere. I have really yet to see a completely tear-free approach that actually works, because in this scenario, baby still has a sleep dependency of being held to sleep, because every time he cries, the parents pick him up and hold him back to sleep. Parents usually burn out because their baby doesn't learn how to sleep or drift off to sleep in any short span of time, and because when the baby protests, he basically gets picked up again with any small peep. So parents usually burn out feeling like this isn't going to work, and honestly, I have yet to see something that does work with this. Let's talk about checking systems, okay? Ferberizing a baby, okay? Ferber's method is basically theoretically an in-between, okay? It's when you leave your baby at progressively longer intervals so he learns how to sleep, but still has reassurance from his parents. So you put him in his crib, calm down when he's drowsy but awake, leave the room, and let's say leave him for 3 minutes to cry. After 3 minutes, you go in, give him a quick cuddle, a quick kiss, a quick reassurance, then leave for 5 minutes, and he cries for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you go back in, and then you give him a kiss again, give him a cuddle, reassure him, and go back out for 10 minutes. And then every night, or every wake up after that, you do it for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So you do it, let's say, for the first interval of 3 minutes, baby's crying alone for 3 minutes. Then it gets a little bit slightly longer towards 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Each night has a cap. So the second night might look something like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and then 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. Basically, the intervals get longer and longer. So the goal is that the baby learns how to sleep while still feeling like the parents are responding to him, and while the parents still feeling like they're involved. So does this work? Yes, it can. But the problem is that the child is still left to cry alone for sometimes 20, 30, 40 minutes by himself. So if you don't want to leave your baby to cry, he's still in a room by himself crying. But my bigger problem I have with this is that not all temperaments respond well. One might be totally fine, but another might get completely overstimulated, might get completely mixed messages. Wait a minute, mommy, sometimes you're here and you come in and respond to me. Other times you leave me to cry, and then again a few minutes later you come back and reassure me. What am I supposed to learn here? What am I supposed to expect? It's totally inconsistent, and babies often don't learn just by the mere fact of there's not a responsive, consistent, predictable message given over. And parents call me a lot who have tried this method and don't see success. As parents, We always want to instill trust within our kids, and it all boils down to ensuring the child feels emotionally secure. Obviously, different children are going to respond differently based on their own temperament, but it's really important to understand who your baby is and what you want to do. So the goal is to really tackle your child's individual temperament while taking into account your own parenting philosophy and what works. You should never feel like you're compromising your own beliefs, like when we talked about in sabotaging sleep, because you want to do something that works for you and your child, okay? So if I don't like any of these other methods, I said I don't like cry it out. I don't like methods that claim absolutely zero crying, and I don't like checking what do I like. I have created a method called Serenity Sleep, and that's what it's all about. Being serene, staying in tune with your own instincts as a parent, making sure you can still make headway with your child's sleep. Isn't that the whole reason that you want your child to sleep, right? So you can be better rested, more present of a parent. You don't want to compromise yourself in the process, especially if you don't want to leave your baby to cry. So enough suspense at this point. In the next section, we are finally going to get into the nitty-gritty of this Serenity Sleep method, which is the gentle phase out method. We're going to be fusing all the different ideas together while still making sure that your baby feels responded to, while you still feel like you're there for your child. Now, there's going to be a little bit of crying involved, remember, but that's okay. We're never going to leave your baby alone. He's never going to be traumatized, and he's going to learn slowly and beautifully at his own pace. So get ready and go on to the next section.